Ronald Acuna Jr. goes 2 for 4 with a homer, an outfield assist, but the Braves drop the series open to the Padres 2-1. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on in to the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. That's Jake Mastroianni, host of Locked On Braves. Follow him on social media at Shortstop Ball. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Braves, wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And Jake, game started off with a bang, literally. Ronald Acuña Jr., first pitch he sees, launches the hardest hit ball and the furthest hit ball of the Braves season for a 1-0 lead. But that's all that Atlanta does. They drop this 2-1. We're going to get to Chris Sale, Nick Pivetta, and what they did. We're going to get to Raisel Glacius in the ninth. But let's talk about the bottom of the ninth inning. Braves have Eli White on second base. There's a base hit to center field. And 2 or 3 steps from the third base bag, Eli White gets a stop sign from Matt Tuiasosopo, the standard both hands up stop sign, and he misinterprets it, and he turns around to run back to second base, thinking the ball was caught. He gets thrown out. Braves go quietly after that. A lot of people are very, very frustrated at this because it feels like the Braves base running has been suspect, and a lot of it's involved the third base coach. But this isn't Matt Tuiasosopo. He did everything right. This is just Eli White having a mental lapse, a brain fart, I guess.
Yeah, it certainly just feels like a mental mistake for Eli White. In fact, when Ozzy hit that ball, I said, oh no, is Tui going to send him here and get another guy thrown out at home plate? Because it was another ball that was hit so hard, as fast as Eli White was, I don't think he's going to score there. But Eli, to his credit to begin with, he took off from the jump, and he was thinking, I'm going to score on this. And because of that, he never looked to see if the ball got caught or not. And
which is fine. Like, that's the third base's coach's job to do. Yeah.
But because he didn't do that, he is just going and thinking, I got to score. And again, just kind of a mental lapse there. He looks up, sees the stop sign. And because he never, saw to see if it was down or not, I'm assuming he just thought, oh no, he caught it. He wants me to go back. But it was just, like you said, the standard stop sign, 2 hands up, stop running. And instead he interpreted it as, I need to run back to the bag. And it's just unfortunate that worked out. Look, with the way the Braves hit with runners on third and 1 out is no guarantee, but certainly killed all the momentum in that inning. And it felt like it, like you said, from the jump tonight with Ronald, it felt like it was going to be a special night. And I had confidence there that they were going to come back and get the win. And that killed everything right there. Michael fought off some really good fastballs and try to keep things going. But yeah, just a really tough mental lapse for Eli White in a big moment.
Yeah. And if you want to see what Tuiasosopo was doing, I put the screenshot on social media, on X, again, at Crosby Baseball. Standard 2-handed stop sign. This, like, normally what they do to try to get you to go back is they're pointing at the bag behind you with with 2 hands. So it's a different look. This is not on Tuiasosopo. We've been critical of him a lot on this show for sending Riley, sending Verdugo, those situations. This here was Eli White. Outside of that, you pick up 6 hits in this one. Ronald goes 2 for 4 from the leadoff spot. Obviously, the run RBI came on the home run there. But outside of that, Alex Verdugo, for the first time, batting 5th, batting behind Marcell Ozuna. He goes 2 for 4. Ozzy, Michael Harris each have a hit. But this just really was a quiet night for the offense in what was a very good pitching duel, and then 2 very good bullpens who just did not really anything happen the rest of the game.
Yeah, frustrating night offensively because, again, you get the leadoff homer from Ronald, and then you get a leadoff single from him in the third inning, and I'm thinking they're going to score more than 1 run in this one. Credit to Nick Pivetta. He, after that first time through the order, particularly that at bat to Matt Olson, he really started to go to that curveball, and it took the Braves a while to kind of adjust to that. But you got to do more. I mean, we're going to talk about Glacius and the 9th inning, but the offense just has to do more and find other ways. And they just really didn't have many opportunities. It really was that third inning. You had the first two on, Acuña with the leadoff single and Riley the walk, and then nothing. And weren't able to get anything across. And Olsen and Ozuna, who have been so great here lately, they don't do much of anything. Ozuna does work a walk in this one, but they combine. They both strike out 2 times each. The key with Acuña at the top of the order now is that bottom feeding him and getting on base for him. And Michael had a hit down there, but there really wasn't enough of that either, I felt like. So just weren't a ton of chances, a lot of tough at bats for them, and just weren't able to scratch anything else across. And again, after the way it started, you felt like it was going to be a big night for the offense. And unfortunately, they just all sat back and watched the Acuña show too and didn't want to participate.
Pivetta now has 13 innings this season against the Braves. He's allowed 5 hits and 1 run. He has struck out, He has struck out 11 and walked 3. So Nick Pivetta has been very good against Atlanta. And to his credit, his ERA is under 3 for the year. He's been very good.
He's been good against everybody.
He's been good against everybody all year. Yeah, but especially against Atlanta, they've got his best, and it's worked out so far. Okay, before we get into the pitching, I do real quick. Ronald Acuna Jr., we see him make an outfield assist. Catcher trying to stretch a single into a double against Ronald Acuna Jr. feels like a terrible idea, but he does that. Which made you cringe a little bit more? His steps getting kind of choppy heading into the corner there, or when he was trying to beat the throw to first base and put on a little extra burst? I'll admit I cringed a little bit both times, just being worried that he was going to re-injure himself in that first game back.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you see him have to try to pump the brakes like that, and on defense, there was a ball that was hit to a fly ball kind of by the foul line over there that he had to run after and get. That's 1-2 where I was kind of having that cringe moment, but it's going to be that way for a while, maybe forever with Ronald now that he has, both knees surgically repaired. But anytime you got to stop that momentum really quickly on that knee, and look on the ball that Diaz hit. I mean, I thought he took his time. He broke it down. He picked up the ball. He looked at it. He's like, oh, he's running. I'll just throw this 90 miles per hour and get him out easily. So I didn't think he was overexerting himself, but yeah, it's certainly going to be that way with Ronald. Don't want anything happening there.
Yeah. All right. In just a second, we're going to talk about the pitching, the Chris Sale, the stuff we did like, Raisel Glacius, what we didn't like. We'll do that next right here on the Braves Postcast. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action because FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game, but both before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. So this was a prototypical pitching duel, right? Pivetta, again, 1 run on 4 hits, 6 innings, 7 strikeouts. Chris Sale, 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Sale gives up a homer to Gavin Sheets. Pivetta obviously gave it the leadoff 1 to Ronald Acuna Jr. The big thing for Chris Sale is we know that he is predominantly slider fastball. That's always been Chris Sale's whole thing. I don't think I've seen a start with Atlanta where he just, with the exception of a single sinker that he threw, just doesn't even throw anything else and literally just sticks with those 2 pitches. It worked, obviously. He picked up 15 whiffs, 11 on the slider. He had another 18 called strikes, 11 of those on the 4-seam fastball. But just dominance in a little bit of a different way than we've seen normally from Chris Sale.
Yeah, I've talked about it a lot with Sean Murphy. When he sees something working back there, he just kind of goes with it, which we'll get to with the Glacius. But yeah, I mean, like Chris Sale's just back. I mean, he's just back to being the Cy Young guy. I mean, the start in Boston, obviously a little amped up against his former team, but even here you saw the velocity back up again. And even the home run he gave up, it was 97 painted in to Gavin Sheets. And somehow that bull of a man is just so strong that he got his hands in and hit it out to left center. Like, it's just an incredible swing. You tip your cap. The home run to Acuña, I mean, it's a middle 93 mile per hour fastball. He did what you're supposed to do with it. But the home run to Gavin Sheets, I mean, it was a well-located 97 mile per hour fastball in, and he hit it out to left center. It's just one really strong dude. But just another great start from Chris Sale. And I mean, when something's working like that, the slider's obviously a great pitch, but it's just Chris Sale. I mean, he's back, and it's kind of what you expect from him now with the way that he's going.
Yeah. And I mean, everything. He makes a good defensive play. He's covering first, grabbing, soft grounders and making the outs. Chris Sale was completely back. Raisel Glacius, however, is not necessarily completely back. He takes the 9th inning in a tie game and gives up the leadoff home run to Manny Machado. It was a 2-2 count. This wasn't a location issue, right? This slider was on the black at the bottom of the zone, inner third. But when he threw it, it was a submit mixer up there. It didn't really have the movement he was expecting, and Machado did not miss it. A lot of people, a lot of like Braves insiders and things like that, old friend Grant McCauley from the show, things like that, have all kind of said they expect Raisel Glacius to figure this out. But his ERA is now 5.75. Is there a path for Atlanta to let him figure this out in the relief role? In the closing role? Or do they need to try to figure out some other thing to do for him until he can fix this? Because even when the location's right, the movement's not, and it's really hard to keep defending Raisel Glacius.
So I'm going to defend him because
Okay.
I actually thought he made 2 bad pitches in this whole outing. And outside of that, I thought, like, even in the first 4 pitches that Manny Machado bat, I said, oh, man, this looks like the good Raisel Glacius. Everything's exactly where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And he makes the 4th pitch of that at bat. It's a great slider just off the plate, down and away. Machado swings. And like I said with Murphy earlier, he sees something good. I'm going to go back to it. So he goes to the slider again. And unfortunately, it backed up on him and it set, middle down, and Machado didn't miss it. That slider has a -7 run value for Raisel Glacius this year. CJ talked about it on the broadcast. It's just, I think you have to go away from that pitch. I think there needs to be a discussion about, do you just go away from that pitch right now? Because the sinker, the changeup, everything else in that inning was fantastic to me. He made another mistake with that slider. He got away with it. The one that he threw to Gavin Sheets that just set right down the middle. And with the way Gavin Sheets is swinging the bat, I fully expected that to be demolished. But other than those 2 pitches, I thought this was some of the best stuff I've seen from Raisel Glacius. So again, the margin for error was 0. He could not make any mistakes. And unfortunately he did, and Machado made him pay. And that's just kind of been the case this season for Raisel. Any little mistake he's made, he's absolutely paid for it. But I think the slider is key. If that's a pitch that he's not going to be able to land consistently, maybe you got to go away from it for a little while and just focus more on that sinker, changeup, and throwing the 4-seamer at the top of the zone.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is he is that rare closer who has 4 pitches, and you trust a lot of those pitches to be effective. It's just when one's not working, you got to kind of stop throwing it. Obviously, there is that kind of issue. Okay, so
I want to answer your question too, because who else do you go to? Like, I know you can go to Days Bowl. The numbers are good. Even in this outing, he gave up the hit. Ronald threw the runner out. Then he walks it batter. Like, he hasn't been just.
He's not as reliable either. That's the issue.
Yeah. So I don't know who else the Braves go to in that closer spot. I mean, I'm sure you give Days Bowl an opportunity, maybe a Dylan Lee or a Pierce Johnson. I just don't think there's any other obvious options to go to if not Raisel.
Yeah, and for the record, we fully expect at some point in time they're going to bring Craig Kimbrell up. Braves fans should not expect this to be the same Craig Kimbrell that he was when he was in Atlanta. You are at best looking at some sort of like setup thing. That's kind of the real issue here for the Braves, as Jake just said, is that you don't really have any other great options. Daysbel still walks too many. He doesn't get all of the strikeouts that he should given his stuff. You're just kind of struggling there. Losing this one and now having to face Michael King and Dylan Cease. Is it a little bit, knowing what you did against them the first time out this season, where you knocked both of them out the game early? You didn't win those games. The bullpen shut you down, but knocking them out of the game early. Do you feel a little bit better about the Braves' chances of salvaging the series given the fact of what you've done against those two guys? Or is this now kind of not a panic, but kind of a problem for the weekend as you lost the Chris Sale start?
Yeah, this is a problem for the weekend. You get a dominant start like this from Chris Sale. You get a home run on the first at bat of the game and you lose it. This is not a good feeling for the rest of the weekend. You're facing a good team in the Padres that have lost 6 in a row coming in. You knew something was going to change for them eventually. They're not that bad of a team. So I didn't feel great about it coming in just because you were facing 3 really tough pitchers for a team that was due to kind of turn things around. And now you dropped game 1 of that after you get a great start from your ace. And yeah, it doesn't feel great the rest of the way. The offense is going to have to wake up. They're going to have some good at bats. The Padres bullpen hasn't been as good lately, but we know how good those arms can be. And they were good tonight. So yeah, I feel not feeling great about these next 2 games.
Yeah. Backing up just a second to Rizzo Glacius, Justin Toscano of the AJC, friend of the show, has actually just put out a thing. Brian Snitker said that he's not going to move Glacius out of the closer role. And just like your take, Retrospector in the chat said you were very bold for your take, Snit also said they're going to have to adjust the pitch selection because the slider hasn't been there for Rizzo Glacius. So just like Jake said, the organization also believes he can still work as a closer. You just maybe need to get away from the slider for a little bit until the locations there are better on that. So for people here in the chat on YouTube who were a little bit shocked at Jake saying that is exactly what the organization's thinking as well, because Jake Mastroianni knows ball, folks. All right, so Saturday, 4:10 p.m., a little bit earlier in the day, Michael King versus Grant Holmes. Hopefully the Braves can get back into the win column in the series. If they're 24-26 right now, so you can still hit 500 by the end of the series by winning games 2 and 3. As Jake said, might be a little bit difficult. But the day here, Braves lose 2-1 to the Padres in the series opener. If you're listening on audio, do us a favor. Leave us a 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell for both Locked On Braves and Locked On Sports Atlanta so you know when we go live to break down all of the action, Braves and otherwise. For Jake Mastroianni, I'm Lindsay Crosby. This has been the Braves Postcast.